Welcome to another episode of Community Uplift. I'm your host, Denise Roberts. Today's show is all about the community and how your neighbors at Gamma Pi have been hard at work in our neighborhoods. They're coming off an extremely busy summer and looking forward to carrying that momentum of service into the fall. Today we'll look back at what the Brothers of Gamma Pi have accomplished this year and goals for the remainder of the year. Also, the residents of Prince George's County that are 65 years and older have increased from 9.6% of the population in 2010 to 15.3% in 2022, and they were also the fastest growing age group between 2021 and 2022. Today, Shonda Bellamy and Reginald Lawson will join us to discuss their role in caregivers support. But first, let's check in with Gamma Pi's newly elected Basilisk, Terry Hare, and let's hear about all the work the Super Chapter has been doing. That's coming up next on Community Uplift. Welcome back to Community Uplift. Please welcome the newly elected Basilisk, Terry Hare. Congratulations on your new leadership role.
Thank you, and hello to you as well.
Okay, all right. So, as the new Basilisk, what are your goals for the chapter, and what are going to be your top priorities?
Yeah, so we've gone through the transition now, all of our key officers and appointments to various committee chairs. So now the goal really is to see what we could do in the community, because we've been active in the community here in Prince George's County since 1973. And in light of what's going on politically in particular right now, there's a lot of need out there in the community. So we're really going to focus on continuing to work closely with the youth in the community and the seniors. Those are especially important areas of interest for us.
So can you talk a little bit about your journey to becoming the new leader of the chapter? Sure. Were you involved in other committees, or were you an officer before?
Yeah, I've been involved with various committees and elected offices within the chapter. I served previously as a co-chair for our Achievement Week program and co-chair for social action and some other and most recently, I was the vice basilisk of the chapter, which is an elected position before I was elected basilisk currently.
So this is a natural progression for you.
It's a progression, yeah. Yeah. You could say that.
Yeah. Do you always wanted to be, the leader of the chapter?
I always wanted to be actively involved.
Okay.
And wherever that would take me, and I just wanted to be of service.
Okay.
And that just seems to have taken me in this direction.
What are your plans for finishing up the remainder of the year, the programs that you have?
Oh, yeah, we're really excited. This is going to be a really busy month for us here in November. We have our annual Achievement Week program. That's coming up. We're also, every year at this time, around the Thanksgiving holiday, we give away meals and turkeys at various locations throughout the community. As we move into the Christmas season, we have a big toy extravaganza where we had over 500 participants last year at a local high school, and we were able to provide coats and gifts and different things. And something else we're really excited about is one of our flagship programs, Project Enrich. And it's like an enrichment program for high school students, preparing them for college. And we're really proud. We have over 140 students that have registered for the program.
Okay. So that's awesome,
Yes.
first of all. So basically, you're going to be Gamma Pi as usual.
Yes.
Very active in the community.
Very active,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So we've got your, the second district conference. You're going to be
Yes.
hosting that here in Prince George's County.
Yes.
Where's that taking place?
At the National Harbor.
Okay.
And we're really excited about it. It's the 78th Second District Conference that our chapter is hosting here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, what are some of the, I guess, roles that the chapter is going to kind of have to take on as a result of that coming year?
Yeah. So essentially, this is a big convention bringing in members of our fraternity from 5 different states. And so we're planning out everything. We have a district marshal that takes the lead, Brother Richard Allison, and then we have various committees. So everything from the housing, meeting rooms, activities, you
Yeah.
name it.
It's a big job.
It's a big job.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, thank you so much for coming on the show for the first time in this role. Congratulations again. We look forward to having you back the next time.
Thank you. It was a joy being here with you.
All right. All right.
Good night.
Basilis Hare, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I know this past fraternity year was a lot, but you and the brothers of Gamma Pi have handled it well, and we really appreciate your service. And we wish you and the brothers all the best. Thanks again for stopping by. On Community Uplift, we will hear from Shonda Bellamy and Reginald Lawson. They will be discussing and sharing information about caregivers and how to support a growing population in Prince George's County. Welcome back to Community Uplift. I want to welcome Shonda Bellamy, president of Picket Fences Senior Services, and Reginald Lawson, author and motivational speaker. Thank you so much for being on the show today to talk about such an important topic here in Prince George's County. I'm just going to just start with you, Reginald, but I just want to say that this conversation couldn't be more timely because my mother is now in need of a caregiver, and now so my brother and I are now moving into that phase of our lives. So, Reginald, what is your journey of being a caregiver, and how did you come to want to share your story?
My journey was basically, they called and said, hey, something's going on with your mother. We don't know what it is. Can you come up and talk to her? My mother lived in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm down here in Prince George's County. So in talking to her, I just noticed the basic things we usually say of people who are older, senile, forgetting things. But it got to a point where she called me one day and says, can you go to the doctor's with me? Because you know how to talk that big talking. So I sit down, I talk to the doctor, and he says, we have to tell you straight out, your mother sounds like she has dementia, but she has to get tested. I didn't know what that meant. All I know was, whatever it is, I got you, Mom. Can you prescribe some drugs so I can pick it up on the way home? And they said, no, it's not like that. I realized after we left and I went online looking for things, there was nothing there but how do you prepare to take care of someone with dementia and all of its phases and forms like that. So I kind of woke up one day, I won't say thrown into it, but it was introduced to me that way.
So, Shonda, do you have any advice on, well, first of all, can you just tell me a little bit about your organization, what it is that you do, and what advice you can give for people who are basically new to being caregivers?
Sure. Picket Fences Senior Services is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we serve older adults here in Prince George's County. One area is case management. but also we provide dementia support and we provide dementia education. So for a person that is, I guess, now thrown into the role of caregiving, I would say find out as much as you can about that illness that your loved one has and not just Googling anywhere, but finding a reputable site. There are many websites that address various chronic illnesses like Alzheimer's disease. And so that would be the first thing. The next thing I would do is to reach out to your local office on aging. Here in Prince George's County, it's the Department of Family Services Aging and Disabilities Division. And so I would just reach out to counselor. And so, and that number is 301-265-8450. But that would be that first step to find out just what programs you may qualify for.
Okay.
The next step, I would join a support group. Most support groups will have caregivers that will share information about things that worked well for them and things that didn't work. As you heard Reginald just speak about, just trying to research online at first, all he saw was a lot of technical things. And so when you're in that support group, you'll have the support of those other caregivers that will talk about things that work. So those are some simple steps.
Okay. All right. Reginald, what kind of struggles did you run into? Some challenges, when having to care for your mom?
I think the first thing was acceptance. I'm trying to use my logic, even though I don't understand what this is. I'm trying to make sense of something that doesn't lend itself to that. The frustration that was letting in. And that's while I'm there. Me being a distance caregiver had some additional challenges and things. The other was in trying to understand how this disease progresses and how the mind is just being compromised. What about my mother's safety? What's going to happen to her short and long term? What is it I need to do, and what is it I don't know that I need to know? Learning things about myself, and I'm going to say this as I have a male support group we do virtually once a month. A lot of times we don't want to admit that we don't know. A lot of times we're driven that we want to provide and protect. But there were help groups up in Delaware, but I just said, I'm not going to go sit around a circle with people talking about, here's my problem. But I did realize, as this got serious, I really need to be on my game because my mother is becoming more and more dependent upon me. So that stress, if you will, of knowing I have to get it right and I don't even know what the heck that I'm doing, that was my biggest challenge. And then owning that it's going to be okay. Because what happened, I learned it in the short and the long. No matter what I did, God was going to have to help me keep Mama safe at home. I do remember the one thing I said to her early on, no matter what, she said, don't put me away. And I'm like, I won't. I had no idea what's involved, but I know I gave that commitment to my mom. I won't put you away. But it became very sobering when you start looking at our limitations as caregivers, what resources are out there. So again, for me was that commitment to my mother not to do something, even though financially, socially, people were pushing me to go in that direction.
Yeah. How long ago was that,
My mother was diagnosed in 2012, and she succumbed and left in 2016. So that was a good 4-year run. What I did learn, you can't tell, at least for dementia, you can't tell in the first of the 7 phases. It's when they get into phase 2 that you have some real distinct markers of behavior and things like that. And then again, you don't know how long they're going to be in it. So it's so much to it. And when they tell you no two people are the same, that's the truth that I have found out. No two people are the same. But that's how long it was. I'd be remiss to say that other relationships with family and friends didn't take a hit because when you put up the hand, can I get some help, and they don't come. Now we got another dimension to being a caregiver, and yet your expectations of people to be there, support you. When her friends couldn't come around anymore because they didn't recognize her, and you see the devastation on her, all that hits you as the caregiver, and then you realize there's a limit to what you can do. And this is what does help to have support groups. It really does.
Shonda, can you speak to what these diseases actually are?
So dementia is a collection, because your mom had Alzheimer's disease, correct?
She did.
Okay, so Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, but there are many different forms of dementia. But dementia is just a collection of symptoms, and so it can affect your thinking, the way that you handle like your daily routine. It can also affect like your ability to walk and other things like that. Most people, when they hear the word dementia, they just think about the memory loss, but it's not all about the memory loss. It's other things that are going. So your brain is basically dying. And so we normally share when we teach about dementia, dementia friends. We share a bookcase story, and so we talk about on the top level of the book shelf or bookcase. Those are things like your thinking, your math, your skills, those abilities. And on the lower part of the bookcase would be like your feelings and how people make you feel. And so a person with dementia, as your brain is shrinking, those things that's on the top level, that top shelf, those are the things that fall off the bookshelf first when dementia rocks the bookcase. And what remains is how a person makes you feel and how you feel.
Okay. What sort of challenges have you found, or common challenges that you find in caregivers when having to support, or basically take care of their parent or older family member?
Okay. So with the caregivers that we support, what I find that's very common is that you stop taking care of yourself. You're not following up on your own appointments. Even today, I had to get myself together to come here. I have a caregiver that's in my support group who's now in ICU, while her husband is in another hospital transitioning from his illness.
Yeah.
And so for years, that caregiver did not follow up on her own doctor appointments. And because she was just focused on caring for her loved one.
Okay.
So that's one thing that I find. Another thing is that caregiver burnout, where you don't have that support. Reginald talked about when someone does not come to, to support you. And so you'll see that some caregivers will have caregiver burnout and also maybe diminished relationships. And so now I want to talk to you, Denise, and I'm telling you all about my caregiver struggles for the day, and you're not listening to me. You're thinking about, some dinner that you're about to go to, or, some other engagement. And the more I'm trying to share with you, I see we're not connected.
Yeah.
And so you see diminished relationships at times.
Well, this is a question for both of you. Can you give the viewers suggestions or on ways to combat, all of this?
You go ahead.
Okay, yes. And so managing caregiver stress is important.
Okay.
And so I always tell my caregivers self-care is not selfish. And so making sure that you are taking care of yourself is going to give you the ability to care well for your care recipient. And so make sure you are staying on top of those doctor's appointments and just taking time for yourself, even if it's like tuning into some online meditation where you're listening to something that can help you relax for that moment. Even like journaling, keeping a gratitude journal is something good, because with everything you may be facing on that caregiver journey, you may feel like there's nothing to be grateful about, but there's a lot that we can be grateful for. Even if we write in the journal, we're grateful we woke up this morning.
So when you're saying care for yourself, it's almost like you have to take care of yourself first.
Yes.
Like they say on the airplane, put the
Exactly.
oxygen mask on you first,
That's
and
right.
then the child or whomever.
Yes.
Yeah. How about you? Do you have any suggestions, Reginald?
Absolutely. One of the things, and I'm going to stay with dementia, is that what's frustrating is when they start to lose their ability to communicate effectively. The other is when they start going back to a time in life, usually those teen years. We sit here in the present day trying to keep you present. They're drifting back in that time. And one of the things that had happened, my mother's husband had passed, and we went to the homegoing service. An hour later, she's like, "Where is he?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, where is he?" She says, "Where is he? He better get in his house." And I'm trying to convince her. We just went to his services. And when I told her the third time, she got mad at me. "Why are you saying ugly things like that?" And it took me a few days to stop doing that. There were times where she would say, "I got to go." "Where you going to go?" "My sister, she out there, she got to get in the house, she going to get a whooping." Well, she's talking about my aunt who had been passed. But in that moment, she was back to being a teenager. And it took me a moment before I could do what I call the dance. The dance is go wherever they are. Abandon your logic, your present. And so when I would go, this says, "Well, where is she?" "Oh, she over at that boy's house." "How you get her in the house?" I went there. And so what was stressful for me turned into a story and a game. And I learned so many things that they would do when they were younger. But that was the way I would relieve my stress. Give up my reality for the moment that dementia grabs them and takes them away, and then they come back to you.
Okay.
And that's very important, Denise, to just stay in the state that they're in, because
Yes.
it cuts down on the frustration that you're dealing with.
But what if the state that they're in is irrationality?
Oh, even more so.
Yes.
But see, it's irrational to you. So your basic position is, can I keep them safe? And I tell people, think of someone who's having a seizure. You can't stop it, but you can guide them to the ground safely and let them come out of it. The same with dementia, because the worst thing you can do for someone who has a cognitive illness is argue, because you're never going to win that, because they're not using logic, and we are. And so we're the ones, a lot of times, we're the ones who take the hit more than the care receiver. They will cuss you out, hit you, 5 minutes later say, "What's wrong with you?" Because they've lost the memory. But we sit there with that memory. So a lot of caregiving is you dealing with that trauma, you being on that journey and insisting on a reality that doesn't exist for that care receiver. So that's what I would say to anybody. Learn to do the dance.
Yes, and we have to remember it's just as frustrating for them because,
Yes.
you know, their brain is going through all these changes and you're trying to force them to recall something that's not there. And so it's just, we have to remember it's just as frustrating for them than it is for us. I experienced a concussion back last fall. And so when I had the concussion, at the time I started having signs and symptoms that I thought was dementia. And so it helped me to understand what a person is going through, not being able to have that recall. And so, and I was very frustrated and I became very angry, and it made me kind of understand, even though it's not the same, it made me understand what they were going through.
Are there any unique aspects of caregiving that impact the African American community more so than others?
So we kind of talked about this, and I would say that there are like some health disparities. And so since we've been in this same space about Alzheimer's and dementia, you'll recognize that it does take the African American community to get receive a diagnosis. It takes a lot longer for us to actually receive a diagnosis. But we know that it's more prevalent in the African American community.
Wow.
And so, and Reginald has some more that he would like to share about that.
Well, one of the things is that we've heard we as people do not lend ourselves to getting tested for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
What the institutions are saying, because you don't come in to get tested, we don't have models that fit you. So even when I think about male cancer, prostate cancer, they said when you get in your 50s, go get tested. For us, we need to do it in our 30s. But because we've not been tested, there's no data that fits our models. Second is that black women are stricken more than any other gender and race, which says my black males more than others are going to be forced into caregiving. So I'm trying to get them up to speed to understand these kinds of things. Another thing that is unique is relationships. If your loved one, your spouse, suffers from dementia, one of the things that gets hit is the loss of that affection, the loss of, because they don't recognize you as their spouse anymore. And so there's a lot of different traumas, if you will, that hit you when you're finding yourself in a space where there's some kind of cognitive challenges and people don't recognize you anymore. Those things really hit, and no one really talks about those kinds of things.
How tough is the decision, to put your loved one into a home versus, not doing that and helping them to age in place in their own homes, or whether it's with you?
So it's very tough for caregivers, and it is a personal decision, and you really have to do what's best for you. A lot of times, like Reggie mentioned, that he promised his mom he would keep her at home. And so sometimes we make those promises to our own detriment, and we're not able to care for our loved one like we would like to. And sometimes it's important to move them into a facility. But it is a hard decision to make. And Reginald, he was a long-distance caregiver, and so having to go back and forth from Delaware to Maryland. And so it's a personal decision, but you have to do what's best for you and the person that you're caring for.
Yeah. What are some of the local organizations that caregivers in Prince George's County can, tap into?
So the Department of Family Services, Aging and Disabilities Division, also Department of Social Services runs the respite program. So if there's a caregiver that needs a break along their caregiving journey, they're able to contact the respite program with Department of Family Social Services and apply for those funds. Also, I lead the Prince George's Senior Provider Network as well, and we have a senior resource guide, and so caregivers are able to look through that guide to find out information about whether it's home health care services, assisted living, elder attorneys. Those are places that would be great to.
Okay, and if anybody
Start
wanted
with.
to find out more about your organization or had any questions, how can they get in contact with you?
Yes, our website is picketfences.org, and our phone number is 301-358-2066.
And thank you. And Reginald, is there anything that you'd like to say?
I would. In addition to that, I joined a group called Dementia Friendly, which is one of the groups here in the DMV, in Prince George's County in particular. They meet on a regular basis throughout the month. And we started out of that a male caregivers group, second Saturday, and it's virtual. But we have males from anywhere in the country who can just come in and join and learn certain tips, because we have a different language and we're more comfortable among ourselves owning things.
Okay,
and
and
stuff like that.
how can people find out more about that organization?
They can also reach out
Reach
to
out to
me.
Picket Fence,
Okay.
yes.
I
yes.
lead that group as well.
All right. Well,
Also, I just want to say that I did write a book to help the caregivers. It is available on Amazon. It's called At Home with Dementia. And it's written from the perspective of taking you from ground zero all the way through. They even talk about the financial things you need to learn, the legal things you need to learn, all that.
Awesome. That sounds like a really great resource. Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
For being on the show today. Shonda and Reginald, I want to thank you both for your work in the county supporting the caregivers community and all that you do for the community. You can recap today's show at gammapie.org, also on X at Gamma Pi Qs, on Facebook and YouTube at Gamma Pi Chapter. From all of us here at Community Uplift, I'm Denise Roberts. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Take care.